What's up, world? What's up, YouTube? Anyways, it's your girl T Fizzle, and I'm back. I just wanted to share with you guys a book that I started reading on Monday, and I recently just finished it yesterday afternoon. The book was amazing. It is a really, really good book. So here it goes. It's called Hair Story: Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America. It is an excellent book. It's written by two authors, Ayanna D. Bird and Lloyd Tharples. Um, it's deep. That's the main thing I can say. I learned a lot of stuff from the book that I myself did not know. It starts all the way back in Africa, and they kind of break it down as to, the way that we cherished and we loved our hair, and the way that we maintained it and celebrated it, the way that you wore your hair, the way you wore your braids, signalized, what tribe you were from and your rank in that tribe. And then it goes on to tell about slavery, about how the white man came to Africa. And the first thing they would do when they enslaved us, when they bring us from the slave castles, is that they would shave off everyone's hair. Men, women, children included. They would shave off their hair and they put them on the ships. And I never realized that. I know they stripped them of their clothing, but the reason why they shaved off their hair is so that way no one knew who they were. They lost their identity. Their hair was their identity. So you didn't know who next to you on that ship was from what tribe, or what culture they were from. Granted, they all spoke different languages, but that's why the hair was cut off, to just kind of, to wipe out any history of what we had going on prior to being on that slave ship. So basically then, once the slaves landed in America, now imagine this, you've been on a boat for the past 6 months. So it took about 6 months for them to get from Africa to America on the ship. So you've been on the boat now for months and months, weeks and weeks, whatever. And you haven't combed your hair, you haven't washed your hair, you haven't done anything. You haven't even bathed. So one of the sayings that we tend to say is like, hair like wool. Jesus had hair like wool and stuff like that. And what I kind of learned in the book is that that's not really a good word or good terminology, because the reason why black people were said to have hair like wool is because of how matted and kinky and nappy it got from being on the ship. So that was like the white man's proof that, look, they're not human. They're animals. They have hair like sheep. Their hair is the same as wool. So that way we can enslave them and we're not doing anything wrong. They're animals. They're subhuman. So I never realized that. So that was like really, really deep. I talked to a few of my friends about the book, and what's so funny is that people would see me reading this book and they would see the little boy on the cover, and I'm going to zoom in kind of close here. As you see, he has very, very kinky hair. And I mean, I would get all types of reactions like, hair story, what's that about? And almost like 80% of people be like, damn, he got some nappy ass hair. Or shit, somebody needs to comb his hair. And it's like, are you serious? It's a book. You know what I'm saying? It's like, read it, read it, read it. You'll learn to appreciate this type of hair even more. We were killed for having this type of hair. Our self-esteem was taken from us. We were broken, and it's sad because it still goes on to this day. It's now 2008, and we still have the mentality that kinky hair or hair that's 4A, 4B is bad hair, and it's so not true. They also go on to talk about like mulatto people and how a lot of mulattoes are trying to pass for white, and they even said that hair grade was more important to society than even skin color. And I never realized that. I just always assumed, if you're light skinned, you're in, stuff like that. If you're black, get back, But even more important was the hair grade. So a lot of times, mulatto men and women, if they have more white features, like pointier noses, things like that, smaller lips, a lot of time the telltale sign would be their hair grade. So there were even reports in here of mulatto men who had, a little bit coarser hair, I would say 3C hair. They would shave their hair off and then try and pass like white men. And it would be hard to tell because they didn't have any hair on their heads. So they talked about a lot of people passing. They talked about like the brown paper bag rule, where we get this mentality of good hair, bad hair. And I knew it all resonated with slavery, but they go into it in depth. They also talk about like the different styles that we've come to know, love, and hate, like the Jerry curl. Who didn't have a Jerry curl back in the day? I know I had one. And I never understood at that time why my mom decided to just put a Jerry curl in my head. And one of the reasons that a lot of people jumped on the Jerry curl bandwagon, because especially for children, it was easier to maintain. Which I do remember being in like first grade with like a messy ass Jerry curl, and the only thing you had to do is put a shower cap on your head, put some activator in, and you were good to go. So that's why a lot of people did have their, get their children's hair processed with a Jerry curl, because it was cheaper. You didn't have to really spend money on relaxers. There wasn't a lot of upkeep. You could wash it. It was okay. So it makes sense now as to why I had one. And no, I don't have any pics to show you guys, so I'm glad about that. Then another thing they talked about is Madam C.J. Walker, and there's another lady in here. She's not as well known, but they, kind of went out to sell hair growth products, relaxers, things like that. They talk about how people used to conk their hair with lye relaxers. They talk about all types of stuff that we used to do from the time of slavery to now. What, the things that we did to our hair to emulate other races. There were even stories of slaves in here who would put bacon fat or pig fat on their hair, lard on their hair, and they would put a scalding hot towel and sit it on their hair, scalding hot, just so they could make their hair slick. Make their hair curl up and, look anything but a dry, kinky texture. So it's a really, really deep book. I would recommend for everybody to read it. I mean, it's a really good read. It makes you appreciate your hair even more, regardless if you have 1A stick straight hair or 4B kinky hair. It makes you appreciate your hair more, but I think especially for us in the forest, it really made me, love my hair even more and realize that, my hair is very unique and not everybody can rock these certain styles we can rock. And I'm not rocking a short wig right now, but that's just to protect my hair because right now it's, braided in pigtails. But yeah, they go on to talk about the explosion of weaves and wigs and, people looking more Afrocentric, and the 70s with the big afros and the cornrows now and the dreadlocks. So they talk about every type of hairstyle you can imagine. This book is the bomb. And I might turn around and just buy it just so I have it here at home and put some money in their pocket, because it's a really, really deep book. But I do have to take it back to the library, so I will be going back to the library Tuesday to return it. But I just wanted to share that with you guys to go ahead and check it out. It's a lot of good information in there. There's a lot of stuff that as black people we can relate to in this book, regardless if you have so-called good hair, bad hair. I hate that term. Regardless of what your hair grade is, they talk about women in here who are brown skin or light skin and have hair that would resemble biracial Indian hair, stuff like that, and how they were hated on by women who had more kinky hair, and how some guys were attracted to them just because of their hair grade and not because of who they were. So I never realized that girls who had that type of hair grade get it on both ends of the spectrum. I always thought oh wow, everybody likes their hair grade, whatever, they have good hair, stuff like that. But a lot of these women hold resentments too, and stuff that they went through with people picking on them and making fun of them. So it was really deep to see it from both angles, and to see how some people with so-called slick hair, good hair, whatever, wanted hair to be more 4A, 4B hair, just so they could fit into black culture. And whereas people with 4A, 4B hair wanted hair that was more 3C, somewhere in the 3s, where it looked more like biracial hair, just because they thought that's what would make them prettier. So it's deep. But I mean, the main thing I got from it is to love yourself, love your hair, love your complexion, love your skin. You have to love you first and foremost. And I mean, I can be the first one to admit it took me a long time to get to this point where I can just be satisfied with tea, where I don't have to really prove myself, really care about what people say or think. I do me. I'll go from one extreme hairstyle to another, throw on a short wig, wear a long wig, wear my real hair out. Whatever I want to do with me is my business. So I just wanted to share that with you ladies, and I hope you guys get the book. Like I said, it's very, very informative. So you guys have a great Sunday. Peace and blessings. Bye.